Well, there he goes again. First, Biden claims he never thought Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. And secondly, Biden has claimed on at least 2 occasions that the man who struck and killed his first wife and newborn daughter in that tragic accident in 1972, Biden has claimed that the man was drunk. He wasn't. First, Biden claimed that he never thought Saddam Hussein had WMD.
The rationale was that's the way to not go to war, because I didn't believe he had those nuclear weapons. I didn't believe he had those weapons of mass destruction.
Really? Joe Biden says he never believed Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction?
Other countries have or seek weapons of mass destruction. Saddam has actually used them against his neighbors, against his own people. He has a lengthy track record of aggression, first in Iran, then Kuwait. He has brutally repressed Iraqi civilians, first the Kurds in the north, then the Shias in the south, then the Kurds again. And the combination of Saddam Hussein and weapons of mass destruction is dangerous, destabilizing, and deadly. Ultimately, either those weapons must be dislodged from Iraq or Saddam must be dislodged from power.
And 4 years later, when a weapons inspector said that Saddam was interfering with the ability to inspect, Biden again insisted that Saddam Hussein had WMD.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me begin by saying I think, Major, have provided, and are providing a very, very, very valuable service to your country by coming forward as you have. Because quite frankly, I think what you've done is you've forced us to come to our milk here, all of us in the United States Congress. I think you and I believe, and many of us believe here, as long as Saddam's at the helm, there is no reasonable prospect you or any other inspector is ever going to be able to guarantee that we have rooted out, root and branch, the entirety of Saddam's program relative to weapons of mass destruction.
Joe Biden, July 31, 2002, Senate hearing.
In my judgment, President Bush is right to be concerned about Saddam Hussein's relentless pursuit of weapons of mass destruction and the possibility that he may use them or share them with terrorists.
Now, then Illinois State Senator Barack Obama in October 2002 gave a speech in which he outlined his reasons for opposing the Iraq War.
I don't oppose war in all circumstances, and when I look out over this crowd today, I know there is no shortage of patriots or patriotism. What I do oppose is a dumb war.
But even Barack Obama in that speech never questioned the intelligence community's assumption that Saddam Hussein had WMD. Barack Obama assumed he had WMD. Now let me be clear. I suffer no illusions about Saddam Hussein. He is a brutal man, a ruthless man, a man who butchers his own people to secure his own power. He has repeatedly defied UN resolutions, thwarted UN inspection teams, developed chemical and biological weapons, and coveted nuclear capacity. He is a bad guy. The world and the Iraqi people would be better off without him. End of quote. As you can see, even Barack Obama assumed he had WMD. His opposition to the war was based on something entirely different. Now, secondly, as to Joe Biden, even more disturbingly, he has lied on at least 2 occasions about Curtis Dunn, the tractor-trailer driver who struck and tragically killed Joe Biden's first wife and newborn daughter in 1972. Here's a CBS report.
Just a week before Christmas 1972, the wife of newly elected Senator Joe Biden and their baby daughter were killed, and their 2 sons badly injured when the Biden family car was broadsided by a truck at this intersection in Delaware. The truck driver, Curtis Dunn, was never charged in the crash, but his daughter, Pam Hamill, says he too suffered.
He grieved over that. He was haunted and tormented by that for years.
Dunn died in 1999, but since then his family has endured widespread rumors and reports that he had been drinking just before the collision. At least twice, Biden himself has made public references to alcohol being involved in the crash. In 2007, Biden said the truck driver, quote, allegedly drank his lunch. And multiple news outlets, including CBS News, have reported that Dunn was drunk.
Now, the prosecutor who investigated the case, who's now a judge, said there's no evidence whatsoever that Dunn, the tractor-trailer driver, had been drinking. None. Furthermore, he had the right-of-way. Mrs. Biden had a stop sign, which he apparently did not heed.
The truth is, it was a tragic accident. No alcohol was involved.
The police reports have been lost, but Delaware Judge Jerome Herlihy, who investigated the crash, supports Hamill. He tells CBS News there was no indication that the truck driver had been drinking. Last fall, a spokesman for Biden said Biden fully accepts the Dunn family's word that these rumors were false. Now, Pam Hamill simply wants the record to be cleared.
He was a good, hardworking man and a wonderful father.
And her father's reputation restored.
Wait a second. Dunn's daughter wrote Biden about all of this in 2001. This is from the Newark Post. In 2001, she wrote a heartfelt letter to Biden expressing her father's profound grief after hearing Biden make a post-September 11 speech in which he told the audience that given his history, he could empathize with victims. Growing up, my dad never talked about it. He always got very solemn around Christmas time because the anniversary was December 18, and he never wanted to celebrate the holidays, Hamill said. When newspapers had anniversary articles about the crash, we hid them from Dad. Biden responded in a handwritten note, which in part reads, "All that I can say is I am sorry for all of us, and please know that neither I or my sons feel any animosity whatsoever." End of quote. So Biden appeared to accept her version that her father was faultless. But then in 2007, Biden did it again. Let me tell you a little story. I got elected when I was 29, and I got elected November the 7th, and on December 18 of that year, my wife and 3 kids were Christmas shopping for a Christmas tree. A tractor trailer, a guy who allegedly, and I never pursued it, drank his lunch instead of eating his lunch, broadsided my family and killed my wife instantly and killed my daughter instantly and hospitalized my 2 sons with what were thought to be at the time permanent fundamental injuries. End of quote. Again, this is after she wrote Biden in 2001, and Biden responded with a letter that read, in part, "All I can say is I am sorry for all of us, and please know that neither I or my sons feel any animosity whatsoever." End of quote. This time in 2008, Dunn's daughter sought a public apology from Joe Biden. Newark resident Pamela Hamill wants a public apology from vice presidential candidate U.S. Senator Joseph Biden, who she says has repeatedly besmirched her late father, Curtis C. Dunn. Dunn died in 1999, but his daughter says she's fed up with Biden publicly mischaracterizing him as having been drunk when the accident occurred. End of quote. Now, after this 2009 CBS report, Dunn's daughter claims that Biden called her. Quote, "He apologized for hurting my family in any way, so we accepted that, and kind of end of story from there." End of quote. Well, okay. But isn't Joe Biden's calling card, isn't the reason that the Democrats are rallying around him, is that Joe Biden is a decent guy. Joe Biden doesn't have a malicious bone in his body. Yet for years, Joe Biden characterized this man full of remorse as having killed his wife and daughter while driving drunk. It wasn't true. What decent man does that? The Biden family, frankly, is lucky they were never sued for defamation. Now, here you have Brian Williams and an editorial board member of the New York Times inadvertently making the case for vouchers.
But you see it as a possibility if he wants to spend $1 billion beating this guy, he could do it.
Absolutely. Somebody tweeted recently that actually with the money he spent, he could have given every American $1 million.
I've got it. Let's put it up on the screen. When I read it tonight on social media, it kind of all became clear. Bloomberg spent $500 million on ads. U.S. population, 327 million. Don't tell us if you're ahead of us on the math. He could have given each American $1 million and have had lunch money left over. It's an incredible way of putting it.
It's an incredible way of putting it. It's true. It's disturbing. It does suggest, what we're talking about here, which is there's too much money in politics.
Actually, he could only give 500 Americans $1 million apiece, a little short of giving every American $1 million apiece. In fact, here's what MarketWatch said. Now, Brian Williams and the New York Times board member got all of this from a tweet that has since been taken down. Bloomberg spent $500 million on ads. The U.S. population is 327 million. He could have given each American $1 million and still have money left over. $500 million divided by 327 million is in fact just $1.53 per person. End of quote.
Just a bit outside.
What are my chances?
Not good.
You mean not good like 1 out of 100?
I'd say more like 1 out of 1,000,000.
So you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah!
Vouchers, baby, vouchers. I'm Larry Elder, and we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.